don't forget, it ain't the first 48 with 60 minutes.
Come with the king, best not miss. Even the score now, we need to score now. Back on that wall, when you hear that call, you know it's going down. We play from beginning to ending, you know how we finish. Turn to the bank, gotta handle our business. We need the ball, so it's time to go get it. Play with your heart when you hit, make it feel it. You know I'm with. You come to the bank and get out of line, we sending a blitz. Say who you with? You know I'm with. That purple and black, and when we attack, you know what it is.
You're now locked in the zone 32.
Jake's not fucking here.
Jake's not fucking here. Anyways, everyone, welcome to another episode of Zone 32 podcast. We're on episode 150. We are officially again in the off season. We're getting ready to go into the NFL draft. We got the scouting combine that just started today. And guys, we got Will, we got Drew, we got Grant, who has been MIA for how long now? And I'm motherfucking BT. And we are missing Jake and Trippy, but they may or may not show up. Say what's up to the people.
It's just interesting that Jake's not here, and then all of a sudden Grant shows up. We got two ginger fucks who I've never seen in the same room. So this doesn't help the whole, different people allegations. Came up with that on the fly. We did a great job prepping for this because we, just totally blanked on Jake not being here. I thought Jake said he was coming.
I thought so too.
I thought so too.
Because he said he had to a hard 11 o'clock EST end.
He probably fell asleep. He had to work really early.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did.
Fucking gay.
And I
probably stuck his finger in a fucking light socket or something, and then
and I don't even understand. Like, if he says he has to work early, how that lines up with our time or whatever.
It's really inconsiderate of him to live in a time zone that nobody else lives in. And then
also,
just
third shift is another monster in itself.
Well, then use words like, I got to work early. And it's like, well, what the fuck does early mean, Jake, in your land versus ours? So, yeah, so we're without him. So like BT said, Combine started today. A bunch of fat guys ran the 40 for defensive linemen. Then the edge guys came in and put up some impressive numbers. I don't love the Combine, other than it's a place where, all coaches and GMs and everything are together at once. So you're typically going to get stories out of the Combine. In terms of what actually happens on the field, I feel like it's more of a dog and pony show. It doesn't really matter for anything. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun time of year. It just more means that football is going to be back sooner rather than later. So I'm good with that. I know Grant has a list of players, but I don't know if we had any more general Combine thoughts we wanted to get out first.
I have a general off-season. I've been thinking about this. For whatever reason, there's nothing about this off-season we're going into it. I mean, obviously we know some things that could be done that will improve the team, whatever. I feel like we're in a really good spot. I hope we improve the team. I'm not going to get worked up in any way, either way. Mad, happy about pretty much anything. Unless some crazy shit happens, like Myles Garrett gets traded to us or something. I don't really think that anything that happens is going to make me have much of a reaction. My expectations are that it's going to be a fairly quiet off season because we don't have a whole lot of holes to fill. I mean, this is a fair statement. We should have beat the Bills. So the failure this season was just an execution. It wasn't we're missing this piece, we're missing that piece. I think that you can improve on the roster, of course. We're not losing very much. That can't be replaced. It sounds like I'm sure we'll mention like Ronnie Stanley. It sounds like that's like almost a done deal that Ronnie Stanley's coming back. So, I don't know. It's this offseason to me. I'm not going to be on pins and needles really about anything because I don't have any high expectations. I don't think anything crazy is going to happen that nobody expects. So the combine, the draft, all that stuff, like, I'm going to kind of defer on a lot of it.
So to me, we have, where I disagree with you is that I think we have two very glaring needs with the offensive line, with left tackle and left guard specifically. Left tackle may be working itself out, according to people in the know. That deal with Ronnie's almost done, but that still leaves you a hole at left guard.
No, I'm not saying we don't have things that need to be addressed, but I'm saying like whoever we get for left guard, I'm not going to jump for joy. And I'm also not going to react like, oh, fuck, this is a terrible move. That's what I mean. Like, there's not really to be made that is going to the reaction from me is going to be anything other than like, okay, sounds good, whatever. I mean,
I think if your goal next year is to go into the year with, Voorhees as your starting left guard, Falele as your starting right guard, and bring back Ronnie, and you're drafting people late, like, I think that's a mistake. If that's what we do, like, I'm not going to be super angry about it. I'm not going to be thrilled about it either. And then if you look at some of our, advanced stats when it comes to pass rush, and specifically pass rush win rate was like 28th in the league. So we got a lot of coverage sacks last year. I think you need to get an edge guy that's going to win his one-on-one matchups consistently. And I think that if you get a guy like that coming off the edge, it makes Matabike's job easier up the middle. Like, there are definitely holes I'd like to see us fill. And if we don't do anything aggressive to fill them, and aggressive to me is using a, top round or your first round or a second round pick, or signing like a, fairly well-known free agent. Like, I think it would be a huge mistake. I've also thought a lot of things that we've done are huge mistakes that end up working out. So I don't know if I'm like the right person to be weighing in on that. You know what I mean?
I think that's part of the reason too. Like, so that's why I said, like, if I agree with you, like, I think the best thing we could do is get a really, like a top five, whatever, like one of the best available pass rushers, whether it be via trade or sign somebody or whatever. That would be great. But I don't expect it to happen. So my expectations are set pretty, they're pretty level. So that's why I'm saying, like, other than like us going out and getting a Max Crosby or a Myles Garrett or, I don't know who else. Oh, Joey Bosa, like players like that, Will Mack maybe. Other than that, like, I expect we're going to get a pass rusher, whether it be in the draft, like a pass rusher who's going to compete for snaps or be a starter immediately. And I just don't feel like they're going to be someone who's I'm going to get like super excited about. I'm not shitting on it, but that's just, I think, my mindset going into the offseason.
Which is fair.
And I'm on the, like I mentioned before, the combine thing, like, it's the underwear Olympics, like, whatever, put pads on, put the film on, then you can really find out what a player can do. But there's some things that I do like today, like with the bigger guys, like seeing their explosiveness on their 10-yard splits, seeing the explosiveness in their hips with, vertical jumps, broad jumps, those types of things for bigger body guys. So, like, you could take some of those intangibles and kind of form something when you put the film on and be like, okay, this dude's really like that. Or, you watch a pass rush move from an edge rusher and you see, maybe how he bend on a bag drill and you're like, okay, now that makes sense. Or, leverage, maneuvering, bend, like all those types of things that you see on film, you can get a better idea of it from the combine. But I don't fully invest in the combine or sit there and drool and sit there and be like, oh my God, this guy, because how many times do the combine superstars actually pan out? Very rarely. Do your, guy that runs the fastest 40, is he going to do something? Luckily we got him last year. So, the aspect of what we're looking for in the draft or in the free agency, and that's what's shitty about it too, is the free agency is kind of a weak free agency this year. And, especially for the needs, most of the bigger impact guys are quote unquote trade candidates. So like Will has mentioned 100 times, we've all talked before, it takes two to tango. So we can sit here and beat it around the bush as far as who we want and pound the table for him, but EDC doesn't make moves on his own. He's got to have a willing party to make a deal. So, I think as far as the edge goes, the interior D line goes, interior offensive line goes, the corners in this draft, the safeties in this draft, the positions and needs that we have that are going to be our top tier needs. I feel really good about the draft of where we sit and what we do. Having 11 picks, you can have the flexibility with it. I think he does need to use some of them to maneuver around in the mid rounds. I'm not saying, hey, jump from 27 to 15 and get somebody, or jump from second round back in the first round and get somebody. You don't have to make a huge deal like that, but moving up slightly in those mid rounds or adjusting a fifth to move up in the fourth or whatever it may be for those guys. There are going to be some guys that are in the third and fourth round that are going to be immediate NFL impact guys. And I think we can find somebody at a position of need in those rounds if we use those draft picks correctly.
Yeah. And real quick to go off topic, Jake is finally fucking here.
Jakey!
Damn it.
What's happening, y'all?
Dickhead.
We started the
fuck you,
show,
bitch.
and when we came out of the intro, we all realized that you weren't here because we were all just sitting here staring at each other, waiting
Yep.
for somebody to talk.
So I had to take over for you.
Yeah, you're built for
Dickhead.
that, though, man. You were built to do the intro. Come on now. We know you can handle that.
But anyways,
You got one job, Jake, and you blew it. So
just like he
fuck
blows
off.
his job
Fuck
as a moderator.
Yeah, that's. Yeah,
I mean, like, just
I
you
pick
know,
and choose when to do that.
best ability is availability, and you are not available to do your job today. So,
Anyways.
if we were going to
That's
do
right.
if we're going to do Zone 32 combine rankings, Jake gets a pretty negative mark for that in my book.
That's right. That's right.
But
Anyways,
actually, like,
Would it be as bad as the Bengals cafeteria?
Nothing
Well,
as bad as that.
that is-
Bengals fans fucking swear that their owner has money and they're gonna be able to pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and blah blah blah. And then it's like you can't even feed your fucking players after you paid Joe Burrow. Like, how do you expect to pay these wide receivers? And just it's funny. It's funny to watch them just get horrific grades year after year.
Like, I just imagine the players walking into the cafeteria and they get to grab a pack of ramen noodles and an apple and a Capri Sun. And they're like, all right, nutrition.
I made fun of Joe Burrow for making his girlfriend still be a cashier at Kroger, but I'm pretty sure that he has her work at Kroger for the discount so that he can feed the Bengals roster. Like, he's got to got to swipe her employee discount and get them real food because they can't get it at the facility.
Listen, Mike Brown will do anything he can to avoid paying for anything with that team. He will make Hamilton County pay for all of it if he can.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the Bengals owner, I'd be like, oh, this team fucking sucks. I don't want to spend my own money on it. So I kind of get where he's coming from. I'm not, he's a cheap dickhead, but I also kind of get where his mind's at, because you're not going to see a return on investment on that. Got a bunch of poor inbred fucks in the area that aren't going to spend money on the team. So why are you going to spend money on the team yourself? I kind of get it. I sympathize with them a little bit. And on those fucking report card grades, the John Harbaugh one specifically, like, every coach got a fucking A except for, I don't know, there were like 4 coaches lower than him, 6 coaches lower than him. Like, why every year? Why every year do we fucking freak out about these letters? No, I don't say. As like a fan base.
So here's another thing. Like, people keep putting that up, and they're like, "Look, he's 28th out of 32." But like, the players aren't ranking the coaches. It's just the composite score, and it's a B. Like, remember when you went to school? If you got a B, that was pretty good. That's okay. So. Again, we talked about this privately earlier, but I don't give a fuck about any of those scores on that report card except the Bengals food one. That's the only one I care about. Every year I want to see them get an F-. It's fucking hilarious. The rest of them don't mean a fucking thing. Nothing.
So to me, I'm interested to know who was voting negatively about Harbaugh, because if it's the Ben Clevelands and Deontay Johnson and Marcus Williams of the world, like, I don't care at all. They're fucking losers. They're gonna go somewhere else. Like, they can go fuck themselves. If it's Lamar, Kyle Hamilton, like these franchise pillar players that have these kind of feelings bubbling up about Harbaugh, like, maybe that's something to watch. You know
Well,
what
but
I mean?
okay,
So,
think about this. A B is going to be between an 84 and an 87 out of 100. I mean, if that's the grade you're getting, the composite grade you're getting from your players, okay. I mean,
specifically,
I don't understand. It's the people on Twitter who have this obsession with John Harbaugh that are making it into something that it's not.
So for
That's
me,
all.
it was specifically the 13 out of 53 guys that voted that John Harbaugh wastes their time. So, like, to me, I look at that and I'm like, well, of course Ben Cleveland thinks he wasted his time because Ben Cleveland didn't play. Of course, Marcus Williams thinks he wasted his time because he got benched. Of course, Deontay Johnson thinks he wasted his time because he's a retarded diva and can't fucking figure his shit out, and everybody fucking hates him everywhere he goes. So, like, those ones make sense to me, but, like, who are the other 10 guys? And I'm curious what they thought was wasting their time. Is it that they just don't want to practice because they're lazy? Is there a legitimate gripe buried in there somewhere? And is that something that might be causing us to come up short in, playoff situations? Is where my head goes with that. And that's like a way deeper look at it than is really necessary. But, like, when I look at things like that, that's the shit that interests me. But then I open up Twitter and it's John Harbaugh got a B. He's the worst fucking coach ever. We should fucking fire his ass. I'm like, relax. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you're acting fucking stupid over nothing grades. It's what drives those grades is what piques my interest, and that's more just because I'm a curious person. I like to, learn things like that and think about shit on a deeper level like that sometimes. So I don't know.
And it's also worth mentioning that the owner and the head coach grade wasn't even a thing until last year, and Harbaugh got a B last year too. Nothing has changed since last year. So the only value I would take from the report card is if you track it year to year, if you're improving in the areas where you had something where it looked like it needed improvement. When I see a B for the head coach, there's players every single year who there's attrition, so there's guys who are leaving. So those guys may be more inclined to give a lower score on something like that. And I don't personally. We talked about this earlier, but like, when you're a player on the team, it's not the coach's job for you to like him. It's the coach is going to run the team the way he sees fit. The Ravens have a great track record of success under John Harbaugh specifically. So, like, I don't know. Like, personally, I don't give a fuck. Like, we all have jobs, and when you're at work, if your boss says you got to do it this way, you fucking do it that way.
That's where I differ from you, and it's not that I particularly care, but it's that it's the wasting their time coupled with he's moderately open to change. Like, if somebody's approaching him with legitimate criticism and he's telling them to go fuck themselves, and now they feel like they're wasting their time, like, that might be a deeper issue you want to look into. And that kind of gets back to, like, I would say that as a whole, we're more pro Harbaugh than a lot of Ravens fans. I would say Grant is the most anti-Harbaugh among us, and even he is rational about it compared to what you read online about him. And so, like, one of our gripes about him is that he's kind of stuck in his ways, and it seems like the same shit keeps happening over and over again. And what if a player is trying to come to him to, like, fix that problem, and he's like, get fucked?
I get that, but if that was the truth about him on a real, like, if that was just how he was, then he would get a much worse grade than he got.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but those are like the things that come into my head when I see they only posted 2 grading criteria for head coaches as far as I'm aware, and it was how open they were to player suggestions and do you feel like the coach is wasting your time. And so, like, I'm reading in between the lines of those questions, and I'm saying, like, I'm adding context to this that maybe didn't even exist in anybody's head while they were answering that. So, this is like totally made up, like Drew going down fantasy land or down like a rabbit hole. So the reality is like they don't matter. And, holding any kind of value to a player grade like that is fucking weird. But here we are.
Yeah, I think if you went to any workplace in America, you would get. I mean, the report cards where the coaches are getting A+ and shit like that would never happen at a real workplace environment.
Everybody hates their fucking boss to some extent.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, really. But like, if you look at the teams that gave their coach where the teams give their coach a crazy good score, it's these like the Lions. Like, oh yeah, no shit, the Lions like Dan Campbell. He's a fucking frat bro. Like he's basically a player.
And he's also fucking. They lose. They come up short when it counts. So like, does that grade matter?
That was kind of the other thing I was getting at. Yeah.
Most of the A play, Mike, the dork in Miami, Mike McDaniel, right? That's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he gets an A+ every fucking year. He's also a fucking dork. Like,
right.
And there's rumors that he's out like partying with the players before games and shit. So like, they're his buddy. They think they're his friend. So they don't treat him like a boss.
And they can't win a meaningful game.
Right. They haven't beaten a team that's over 500 in like 3 years. So
right.
I don't put much faith in the grades. I wonder how those grades were got, or how those conclusions were gotten to by some players, or who the players were. But again, that's just, there's nothing else to fucking pay attention to. I mean, what else are we gonna pay attention to in the offseason? Like, Justin Tucker's a fucking freak, and the combine's going on. So like, there's not like a lot of other shit going on that can really take your attention now. So you're almost stuck with that. I mean, spring training baseball is like, cool. Like, you watch 2 innings of guys that fucking matter, and then you got kids who are going to spend the next 6 years in minor league baseball, making $30,000 a year crammed in a 1-bedroom apartment with 6 other guys. So like, they don't fucking matter. So
right.
it's,
and even when you watch the starters, like the pitchers, they're throwing to spots, and like it's not real pitching.
People who know a lot about baseball have said, like, they look at somebody strike somebody out, and they're like, well, shit, my team needs that. Or, they look at walk numbers in spring training and are like, oh, this is concerning for our ace. So I don't know. I disagree with you on that, Will. People who clearly have a long track record of success in baseball have come up with these things. One of them has a very successful commercial for his business where he hits a ball. So I feel like I should trust his opinion more than I trust yours.
We're batting gloves and a shirt and tie.
Also wore black batting gloves with a light blue button down, which just bothered me. Like, go buy white batting gloves, bud. They like fucking
don't wear batting gloves when you're gonna hit one ball in a fucking commercial at a regional park.
And his batting gloves were like brand new. So again, I golf a lot. Like, your gloves have to look worn. You know what I mean? Like, I've had this glove for like 3 or 4 months, and like it has, marks on it. Like, it's fucking dirty. You know what I mean? It's not brand new out of a fucking wrapper. So like, if somebody looks at me swinging that, they're like, oh, this guy's used the glove, not it's a fucking prop for my failing fucking business. So business 101 with Zone 32 for short bald retards that want to fucking run their mouths on the internet.
Oh,
there's a 0% chance that individual ever hears me say this, but I'm not going to name him anyway because
Yeah.
Have we missed anything else of value in Ravens circles?
So there was, EDC and Harbaugh, they did their interviews at the combine, and I think, to me, there's three takeaways that are important from what EDC said. First, I think we already touched on it, that actually 4. So Ronnie Stanley is a priority. They're talking. It sounded like it's and I'm going to combine this with Cole tweeted this. He said,
I want you to go look at my Twitter and see if you're going to read my 4 points, because then I'm going to have some some beef.
Okay, so Cole said that the Ronnie Stanley extension is a matter of time. It's not if, it's when.
I've heard the same thing. I would assume probably the same person told Cole that told me, and that it's more of like they haven't ironed out the contract language, like a lawyer has to look it over, and that's
Yeah.
more what it is. So that there is like an agreement in principle, but that there's
And basically, what it means to me is Ronnie Stanley told them, "I want to be here." They said, "We want you to be here. Here are the numbers. Let's work on the structure of it and get it figured out."
yeah. My fear would be that we're going to give them too much guaranteed money, but it is.
Okay, no, my 4 are not the same. 3 are the same. So,
Okay.
actually, no. Oh yeah. Okay, so we already covered 1, Ronnie Stanley. Everybody agrees. That's right.
Yeah.
No brainer.
checking all-
No brainer.
Yeah, no brainer.
Almost
Um,
guarantee it.
Definitely.
Here's a real easy one. Derrick Henry is going to be a Raven until he retires. EDC said that in almost those words. Basically, he said, "Well, the person who decorates my office is right there, and we're putting a Derrick Henry picture on my wall. What does that tell you?" So yes, I think they're gonna give him a 3-year extension.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it doesn't matter what you give them; that it's just cap nonsense at this point. That you're just gonna, have some kind of deal that pushes money down the road and keeps him here long term.
I think, but not just that. I think he's going to get paid more this year than he was going to get. I think he was going to get 12 this year. I think he's going to get 15.
Well, so he might get 15 in cash, but his cap number is going to be 4 or 5 million, and then
Yeah, exactly. But what I mean is they're rewarding him. He was going to get paid 12 million this year. He's going to get 15 million. Hey, he's going to get paid 15 million, and it's going to make it easier for us. It's going to clear up some cap space.
They're going to keep giving him cash for performing well. And in exchange, he's going to rework his deal so that he gets more years, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. Next one is another one from your list. Mark Andrews he will not be here.
Fuck out of here, diabetes demon.
Yeah. Basically, it sounded like EDC was saying, "Thank you for your service."
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be in the Ring of Honor and all that. But
good luck on your future endeavors.
it sounded like a swan song,
There's a 0% chance that Mark Andrews is here on his current contract.
Right. I totally agree. Yeah.
If there is some, I don't know, that we get him for like veteran minimum back, and maybe that's something they'll consider. But yeah, I just can't imagine he's back. You can't no show in big moments. You can't be the fucking villain. You can't be the relic of the old offense that you're trying to move on from and stay here. Like, it's just time to rip the Band-Aid off and get him the fuck out of you.
Yeah, and the the veteran minimum thing. There's no way. Like, he still deserves to be paid as a top 5 tight end. He does.
Why?
But not by us. Not by us.
By who? But why? What has he done?
Because other teams aren't going to look at him. Other teams are not going to look at him and be like, "Oh, look at how bad he is in the playoffs." They're going to say, "Look at what this guy puts up consistently every year."
In the regular season, yeah.
Right. And then they're going to say, "You know what? A change of scenery may change his performance in the playoffs," because there's no reason a guy who performs that way all year, that's really who he is in the playoffs. It's got to be a mental thing. So maybe a change of scenery is what he needs. But like, as far as what he's capable of and what he puts on tape every year, he's playing as well as he ever has. The only reason his numbers were a little bit lower in some stats this past season is because his target share was lower, because Bateman, Bateman took on a bigger role, and because we had Derrick Henry and we were running the ball more.
And because he was hurt to start the year. Shockingly, a noted Klan member who poses as an NFL analyst said something about him having a down year. Given his skin color, I was shocked by that take by her. Just again, because he's a white guy, but again, wrong as usual. He had a career high in touchdowns. I think he had a career high in yards per catch too. I might be a little bit off there. And
I think it might have been his second best. It was like by like 0.1. It was like basically right at his career high. He set career highs in a lot of like, if you not looking at like catches and yards, if you look at what he was doing when he got the ball, when he got targeted, his catch rate was the highest of his career by far. So like he performed really well all year, but he was a fucking piece of shit in the playoffs, and that's what he's been every year.
He was a 0 through the first 4 or 5 weeks of the year, and then he really came on when he got healthy again, and then he fucking sucked in Buffalo. So goodbye, Mark. Get the fuck off my team. I don't want to deal with that. And
I mean, we don't even need to. Nobody wants him on the team anymore.
No.
Nobody wants somebody who, and I think he could go somewhere else and have a great playoff game or playoff run or whatever. I don't
The
think he
same
can do it
people-
here. It's the way
the
he's
same-
in his own head about it.
The same people who are tied to Mark Andrews and want Mark Andrews back are the same ones who were talking about, like, give James Prochet a shot. And,
Right.
you know, Miles Boykin's the next great thing if we give him more targets. So, you know, they're just people who are overly invested in the success of guys on the current roster and don't really pay attention to, like, reality. So,
Well, and
yeah.
my favorite reason why we shouldn't cut Mark Andrews and why it doesn't matter that he dropped the ball in the playoffs is because he's the Ravens franchise leader in touchdown catches or whatever the fuck it is. That what he is, right?
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yes, he is.
I mean,
What the fuck
and I
does
don't
that
care-
matter? Who gives a
I
shit?
don't care about that shit. And it's like
Right.
those are the things that piss me off. Is like I don't want to say he's wore out his welcome. I'm grateful for everything he's done for the organization. He's been a very productive tight end, but he doesn't show up when it matters. And the problem is that he's got a guy behind him right now that's lighting it up, but he's very limited because of the aspect of Mark Andrews. And then you got a guy like Kohler who is fully capable of being a contributing tight end in the NFL and really, you know, making that next step. Like next season is his chance to make that next step. And when
I'm
you got
excited
two
about
guys
Kohler.
like that already,
He's
I am
flashing.
too. Yeah, I mean, he's a big guy. He blocks well. He's good with the ball in his hands. He gets open. He knows how to find soft zones. Like he's a good tight end, and him and Likely complement each other well because their skill sets are so different. But Mark Andrews at the point where you're not going to pay the guy $17 million. He doesn't show up in the playoffs. He has big drops, and not just the playoffs, but in regular games, to where
True.
you know they are momentum shifting. And when you have a guy like that, you're expecting him to move the chain, secure catches, get the ball down the field, not run backwards and fumble in the middle of the field, not drop a 2-point conversion tying touchdown or 2-point catch in the end zone. Like just little things like the drop he had on the third down that the next play led to a turnover. Like there's things like that add up in the game that you don't expect that from a veteran tight end that you consider one of the top tight ends in the league. It's okay to move on from him and say thank you for your services. It's time to make that step and utilize that cap savings into something else that we need, that we can make that step forward to win playoff games and win a Super Bowl. And that's okay. And Ravens fans have a hard time of disconnecting from the emotional aspect to a player.
That's the thing, is that you hit the nail on the head. Our goal is to win a Super Bowl, not to have a team of guys that we like and root for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get it. Like Mark Andrews came in the league with Lamar, kind of grew with Lamar. As Lamar's star took off, Mark Andrews kind of rode his coattails, and he also became a big name and a top 5 tight end and whatever the fuck else you want to call him. But like, enough's enough. Like he is a product of Lamar Jackson, and he might need Lamar Jackson to be successful, and Lamar Jackson does not need him. Lamar Jackson needs somebody who's gonna catch the ball and make the plays when it counts. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get out of here, Mac.
Yep. Okay. We're on the same page there. My fourth one is not the same as yours. The Tucker thing, that's a whole thing all by itself. That was the first time I talked about it. But my big thing was, and it's I'm expanding on it. He didn't say this necessarily, but EDC said he was going to go to Florida to spend some time with Lamar this coming week, and I think that's because they're going to extend Lamar.
All right, so I don't think extending Lamar this year is the right move. Obviously, if Lamar is asking for more money and you want to keep him happy and it's necessary, then do it. But this year, you can only clear about $15 million in cap space by extending him. If you wait until next year, that number jumps to like 40. And so I feel like from a team
they're going to restructure it either way.
Yeah, I guess, but I think my whole point is that, like, it's going to be you can clear cap space with other guys this year, and then you have Lamar in the bag for next year to, again, if there are other holes that pop up, Ronnie retires, whatever the fuck's going to happen, like, you then kind of, Lamar is your break glass in case of emergency guy. Like, he's committed to the team, we're committed to him, and so you have that bigger cap hit to get off the books next year. Because next year is really when the cap hits start going wild. That's when they get in like the $60 and $70 million range. I'm pretty sure.
Just to play devil's advocate, we've played we have played chicken with Lamar in a deadline before. So I think staying a full year ahead of when that comes, because and I'm not saying necessarily that the extension does happen, but I think maybe EDC's motivation to go there is to try and either start the conversation or to get it done a year ahead so they don't go up against the clock. And then suddenly next year you got Lamar refusing to restructure, whatever. Like, say Lamar wins an MVP next year in a Super Bowl, you know? So having just gotten an extension this year, if they feel like they're that close, it might be pretty smart play, you know?
Well,
and on top of that, it's not like screwing Lamar, because I think no matter what, if Lamar is extended, he's now the highest paid quarterback in football, easily.
And you brought up a good point that I didn't really consider the pain in the ass that it was to negotiate with Lamar the first time around. And so maybe EDC is getting out in front of it and having that conversation now, knowing that it's not going to get done until next offseason anyway. And so
hoping that Lamar's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So I guess I didn't really think of the Lamar of it all, but that makes sense. Again, because that's just he's not a normal person to do business with, and it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just it is what it is. Like
Right.
he's negotiating for himself. He's very much about his future wealth and his own personal brand, and not motivated by the same things that other players are. And so that's not a normal negotiation for EDC. So yeah, if he's going down next week to do that, then great. If he's just doing it to get Lamar's input on the roster, great. Like
Right.
I'm happy that they have a relationship, because the whole talk during, the contract issues was that he had a bad relationship with the front office and that they didn't want him here and that they were frustrated with him. And clearly that doesn't seem to be the case now. I don't think it was the case then either. But like now there's proof that's not currently the case.
Everybody I've ever talked to who has a reason to know if that's true or not has said that's not true at all. And that EDC and Lamar have always had a good relationship, even though it was a difficult negotiation the first time around. I think that now negotiating with Lamar is going to be a lot simpler, because he already got, the baseline is there. So you're just adding on to that. So it's a lot he's going from, he doesn't have that generational guaranteed wealth. And now he has that, and he's just stacking on top.
What's he pocketed? 160 million or something like that already? So
something like that. And that's why I think it could be a good opportunity to do an extension, because they can give him a gigantic amount of money.
Yeah,
as a signing bonus.
You've already essentially paid him half of the deal that he agreed to 2 years ago. So
right now it's just cap hits. That's the issue. So
it's not real
for his
money
purposes.
Coming in.
Yeah, for his purposes now, it's a pretty steady, pretty level across the remainder. So I think it could be a good opportunity for him if he wants to get more money in the bank, to cash in on an extension and take a huge signing bonus on it. And now you have a couple $100 million in the bank.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck would say no to that? So
Right.
I don't know if any of us are in a position to comment on that kind of wealth. I don't think we'll ever see that kind of money in our lives combined, but it would be real hard to turn that down. So
exactly.
I get it.
For all the wealthy people that I do know, I know they like having their money in their hands. So, rather than having it on paper that, okay, I'm going to get this over the next 3 years, if Lamar can get an extension and get a huge portion of that now, I think he'd prefer that personally. But
what's saying one in the hand is worth two in the bush? Something like that. I don't know that, having
a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah, there we go. Birds aren't real though, and I didn't want to get into that conversation, so I was bringing up birds here.
And it's a fact that you're preaching the gospel. Birds are in fact not real. They do not exist.
For the bourgeoisie.
But the money in Lamar Jackson's bank account would be real if he signed an extension. So I could.
Yeah.
All right. Will has kind of talked me out of my previous position. I guess sign him whenever. I'm thinking like Madden terms or like robot terms here, where I'm not really thinking of the human element of it and just the sheer numbers looking at it. This is the accountant in me. So yeah, I could see that also maybe being a reason he goes down there. I'm a little more sold on it than I was before we started talking about it.
and then we create like 3 more years of really comfortable, cap hits for Lamar. So win-win.
Should I read listener text messages on the air?
No.
A certain.
Hold on. I gotta put this one. I've been trying to avoid. We got your buddy Raul Gallardo in the comments, but this one right here made me laugh. It's so simple but very funny.
Oh, have mercy.
This guy like retarded. Yes, clearly he's retarded. I answered my own question there, but like, I don't understand why this person exists. Like, I guess if your goal is to get me like
VD with the follow up.
I'm calling that. Oh, so actually it was VD was the listener text that I was going to read on air. So yeah, he texted me and said he wants Grant's Cam Ward evaluations.
Yeah, okay. Now let's move on. I think are we all? Have I sold everybody on a Lamar extension?
Yeah.
I can see that logically makes sense.
It wasn't that I wasn't sold on it before. I just thought that doing it next year makes more sense. But if bringing the Lamar into it, then just do it and call it a day.
Okay. So hashtag let Grant eval.
Yeah. Well, just to be clear, VD, if you're gonna come in here asking for this, you need to ask for the right thing. Grant, we need volume 1 of your BDSM list for this season.
All right. And VD is on point there because today is quarterbacks. So the way that we're breaking it down.
BDSM is Baltimore Dynamic Scouting Metric.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
That's
so
the
we're
only. That's the only.
Break down positions that are not needed for the Ravens essentially first. Quarterback wise, I did top 10. I have notes on the top 5. I'm not getting into it 6 through 10 because it's a weak ass quarterback class. Maybe 3 will go in the first round. Maybe. And that's just if there are some intelligent GMs that are.
Should I ask my question now about that, or should I wait till you go through the list? Because my question on that is so it is a weak quarterback class. I agree with you. Are 3 worthy of going in the first round to you, or is it 3 are going to go in the first round because bad teams think they need to take a quarterback and have that 5th-year option, and would rather take a quarterback, with their first-round pick and see if it's their guy rather than maybe take somebody who's a 2nd or a 3rd round talent in the 2nd or 3rd round and risk him not being there?
I think 3 are going to go, but I think 2 should. There's only 2 that have the talent to go in the first round that I would gamble on essentially.
So each one, can we guess who it's going to be?
Probably.
Like right before. I'm saying, can we give a guess and then you say who it is?
Who's going to go first round?
He's got Cam Ward number 1, guaranteed.
Well, okay.
Yes.
That's what I was going to. Okay, so Cam Ward, and then I'm going to guess now that Jackson Dart is your number 2.
Yes.
Okay. And I know who the 3rd one you're talking about is. Who's not going to go?
3.
Yeah.
Shedeur is 3.
Well,
and he's gonna
I don't think he's 3 on Grant's list, but I think he's saying he's going to go in the first round.
Yes, exactly. So number 1, I have Cam Ward. I think he's the most polished of all of them in the draft this year. He's a gunslinger. He's very accurate. He can throw from different platforms, different arm angles. He's kind of his pro and his con are kind of 2 of the same things where he's fearless. He tries to fit the ball in really tight windows. He's not afraid to. So he throws a lot of guys open. He's accurate down the field, but he will take those chances of small window throws if he thinks he can fit it. He's high confidence arm thrower. And I think if he gets in the right system with a right quarterback coach, that could elevate his game. And he's an overall – my biggest con on him is him pulling himself out of the bowl game. And I think that, people might downplay that a lot, but to me as a competitor, don't even suit up. Like, if you're going to go in the bowl game just to get a record for yourself, that speaks volumes to me. If you're going to enter the game, stay in the game.
Miami also kind of fucked him. So, I get where he's coming from, that no help from his defense all year. I felt like Cam Ward was playing the hero all year and then let down by his defense. So he was kind of well, fuck you guys, I want my record, and then I don't really give a fuck what you do. And then the Miami defense did what they did all year and lost the game. So,
Yeah, I get it. Just to me, the optics of it don't look good, and I'm sure that's a question that a lot of the GMs are going to be like, "Why didn't you finish the game?" And that's a valid question to find out if you're going to put money into a franchise quarterback. Now, in retrospect, I think that he is more inclined to be a leader and be a competitor than Shedeur Sanders is. Like, I think Shedeur Sanders is me, and that's going to be a huge fault to him. And people are going to see that. People know that.
Who do you think is a pro comp?
Okay, I was going to ask this: is Jaden Daniels a good pro comp? Not
for Shedeur?
No,
for Cam.
Cam Ward.
Oh, Cam Ward? No, he's a big.
I don't think so. Right?
He's a smaller guy.
Hold on. Let me talk. Jaden Daniels was a guy that kind of came from a program, did everything himself, had those leadership intangibles, and then came in, got put with the right head coach or the right system, and did very well as a rookie. And I see Cam Ward as that kind of guy, that he goes to the right team that's going to, I don't know, build around him, but let him be him, that he'll be very successful year one.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say he's a tough comp because he does a lot of things. Like when I talk about like not being afraid to fit tight windows, that's like a Brett Favre aspect. He's got a strong arm and he'll try to force stuff in. He's not.
Can I tell you who came to mind when you were describing him?
Josh Allen.
Who?
No. Jameis Winston coming out of FSU.
I could see that. I think
he's
a lot more. Yeah, and Cam Ward's got a pretty good football IQ. Not saying Jameis Winston doesn't, but he's kind of a Looney Tune.
It sounds like if we had taken what you'd said, if we clipped that and said this was Grant's assessment of Jameis Winston, I think people would have bought that.
But Jameis Winston was blind and retarded. I don't think Cam Ward is either blind or retarded. So
this is also true.
I agree with Dave Hurricane. VD is like Baker Mayfield comes to mind too. I was thinking about
that. Bad. I mean, I don't think that Baker Mayfield and Jameis Winston are all that different either. To be honest with you, I mean, obviously their career is taken. Right, that too. That's another reason I thought of Jameis, because he's a pretty big dude.
Yeah. My number 2 is Jackson Dart. He's probably my favorite quarterback in the draft. I think he's
championship caliber underrated. First name.
Yeah,
championship caliber first.
Jackson.
And what a fucking last name for a quarterback.
Yeah,
Dart. But he does so many things well. Like when you look at him, like he's got the leadership aspect. He makes the throws. He's accurate. He doesn't turn the ball over. I think that when you're looking at a quarterback and you're going to invest into a quarterback, are they accurate? Do they have an IQ to be able to read the defense and process fast? And do they take care of the football? Or like three of the biggest things. He's a fast riser. I think that he's somebody that people are going to be like, okay, kind of like Bo Nix was last year, where people were like,
I was going to say, he's a guy that if he transferred out of the SEC and to a Pac-12 or Big Ten or Big 12 school, like I would think like he would be a guy who would transfer to a Lincoln Riley school and then put up Heisman numbers and go first overall the next year.
Yeah. And if you look at, I mean, he had Trey Harris, who's a great receiver, but outside of that, I mean, he was pretty much putting the team on his back a lot of the times. You look at some of the competitive games he had. Now, I know that there's essentially not a knock, but he would disappear at times, I guess, or have trouble moving the ball against top-tier defenses in the SEC, but I think that's more or less supporting cast than anything. And
he had no
I
run
think
game.
If you get him in the right – none, zero. And I think if you get him into the right situation in the NFL, he's a guy that I could see maybe go, top 15, like around the 10 to 12 range, barring, who's there. But he could also climb in the top 10. I mean, if you have a team that really, really likes him, which I've heard a lot of the NFL teams really do like him and what he brings to the table, he's a guy that you take that chance on. And now this isn't the awful class that, what was it, 2020? Was it 2020 with Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis and all them? Was that 2021?
2022.
2022.
Yeah.
So this class is head and shoulders above that class, but it's still not a strong class because really outside of like the top 3-4, it's a huge drop off.
Drew, I want you to take
but
note of this, please.
Dart is too hot to be good. Pause. All right, we'll discuss this later with Visionless Dave.
Yeah, we'll take this up. We'll
Pause.
take this up.
There's a word I'd like to
Later.
use to describe him right now that I won't say on air, but I think he knows what it is. So,
so
and
my number,
it's deserved.
my number 3 is Kyle McCord, Syracuse.
Gross.
That is
Why?
gross.
Gross.
You're fine.
He was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in football in college football this year.
Period. The past 2 years.
He is Mac Jones 2.0.
He is
Right,
accurate,
but that's okay.
and he's smart.
That's okay. He can go be a backup quarterback, and who knows? Maybe he grows into being a starter someday. But
he's got accuracy to all 3 levels. He probably throws, probably throws the best deep ball in this draft. He takes care of the football. He's accurate. He throws for high percentage yards. He's a completion guy. He does a lot of things.
Plays against good teams and does nothing.
He did it.
He's a loser.
He had a good year at OSU. He had a great year at OSU. And then he transferred.
and then
people were like, you had guys around him. And then he goes to Syracuse, of all places, and he fucking leads the NCAA in passing yards at Syracuse. So, and it wasn't a volume passing.
He got fucking ruined by Michigan.
When had Ohio State lately?
Well, yeah, but again, you don't take Ohio State
to
quarterbacks.
reiterate this comment as well, Kyle McCord is trash.
He's
I
not.
would just like to say Naldo is an Ohio State fan, so that's why he hates Kyle McCord. But again, he is the definition of mid. So if you take Kyle McCord in the 4th round and he kind of sits there for a couple of years and maybe develops a little bit more, and you have a decent supporting cast around him, maybe he'll be okay. But 3 is a reach.
This isn't the order they're going to get drafted. This is my rankings of who I think is the best. Yes, so I think he is the 3rd best quarterback going into this draft. If you look at an all-around quarterback,
if your rankings were what they're going to be in 2027, I might agree with you on Kyle McCord being 3. But right now, he's not the 3rd best quarterback in the draft.
He's gonna go probably 3rd, 4th round. I agree with that. But I think
this is Grant assessing talent.
He's gonna sit a year, maybe 2.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
But he's gonna be a good quarterback.
If you're talking about, again, this is it's Grant's BDSM list, so I shouldn't be telling him the criteria. But to me, Kyle McCord is a guy that in 2027 people might talk about. He was a steal in the 2025 draft, but not that good going in. I guess
he gives me Brock Purdy vibes.
Maybe again, I think you could slot a lot of quarterbacks into that San Francisco team and they'd be fine. So that matches what I'm saying is that I don't think Kyle McCord does anything at an elite level. I think he's just a guy that if you put the right people around him in a couple years, he might be okay.
Number 4, Shedeur. He is a gamer. He's got a really high, he's good at reading defenses, which he's look at his dad. His dad's got him in the film room all the time. So he's good in preparation. He's good in analyzing the defense pre-snap. My thing is he moves the chains, he can get outside the pocket, he can make throws in the run if he needs to get outside. But what worries me is he's not mentally strong. He's not a guy that's going to go in there and he's going to be able to overcome adversity, throws his teammates under the bus. Those are things that I look at as a GM and I want no parts of him at all. So, he's going to go high. If his name was Shedeur Smith, he would not be even talked about in the 1st round whatsoever.
No.
But it's Shedeur Sanders, and it's the hype train. And I don't think he's going to – my big for my con for him, I put ego with exclamation points. He's all about himself, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to speak on another man's character that. But from the optics of it, he is a selfish player, and he's about himself in the sense of
If you separate
him, the line under the bus shit was that. Last year, that was the shit. That was the.
If you separate him, from his dad. Does he maybe lose that ego? Because he's like watching a young Dion. You know what I mean? In terms of how he carries.
About to say that in terms of how he carries.
Yeah, and so if he
But he's not Dion.
No, he's not. But if you get him away from his dad's influence and you kind of smack him in the mouth a little bit, does he sort of lose that ego and then maybe become a better teammate and therefore a better player? I don't know. You kind of have to see. I mean, he's been raised his whole life by Dion. Dion is a cocky fucking prick and earned every ounce of that. And Shedeur is not. And that's what's rubbed me wrong about him the whole time. If we were doing, like letter grades and you look at Shedeur's like physical gifts, I'm giving him like a B to a B plus and everything. And the only thing that he's really elite at, like Grant said, is reading a defense and pre-snap stuff. And again, because he's Dion's kid, I'm sure that was beaten into him at a young age. And so to me, I don't know, that's not a guy that's like a franchise quarterback, and he's going to go like top 10 because he's Shedeur Sanders. But
my thing is too is let's say Cam Ward goes, let's say Jackson Dart goes, and he's still on the board. His response is going to be,
they're going to be a hot take. Not drafting me. Yeah, they're going to regret.
Oh yeah, he's going to say something. He's going to say something fucking stupid. It's going to be all over, social media and about, his responses, his mannerisms after he gets drafted, like whatever it's going to be. It's not going to be a good look if he doesn't go early. And I don't think he should, but there's going to be a stupid fucking team that takes him in the top 5, and they're going to be looking for a quarterback in 2 to 3 years.
I'm pretty sure that they already said he's not going to be at the draft. So Dion is going to very carefully produce the access that the people get to him so that you don't see that. I think Dion is basically insulating him from exactly what you're talking about. In case he does drop, that there's no camera right on him watching every single,
But do you want a guy leading your franchise that you have to handle with kid gloves? Is like
no. All I'm saying is we're not going to get the visuals that you're talking about because Dion is going to make sure that we don't get them.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like they're protecting him, and that's what I mean by handling with kid gloves. Is like
I would call Shedeur a shut up and dribble guy. I think would be my take on him. Is that if you're as good as you think you are, just shut your mouth and do it on the field. And I think people will respect you and say that they were wrong about you. But until then, right now, he is just, again, he's got his dad's arrogance, and he's not his dad. Is really what it
was. What I see, too, that's going to cause problems is he gets drafted, goes to a team, goes in the locker room, and he's going to start his baby back bullshit. And he's going to piss off a lot of veterans, and it's going to cause a lot of rift in a locker room is what I could potentially see happening. If he has an awful game and it pretty much embarrasses himself, it's going to be a nightmare because it's not going to be any accountability to himself. He's going to piss off a bunch of veterans on a team, and it's not going to be good.
And see, I think he needs that. I think he needs to go to wherever the fuck he goes and get his teeth kicked in for 3 weeks and then kind of rebuild himself from there without his dad. I think the worst thing that could have happened for him would be his dad took a head coaching job in the NFL and drafted Shedeur. Because then we'd never get, his potential.
Oh, no. Never. My 5th is Quinn Ewers. I like all the arm angles. I mean, we're talking about a really bad draft here. All right. Yeah, I was going through and he's gonna be a 4th, 5th round guy.
Every fucking snap I've ever seen him take, I haven't liked. Every single one.
But
I hate them all.
But he does have a lot of good intangibles about him. He's got a quick release. He's got different arm angles that he's going to be successful with. He throws intermediate and short routes very well. If he's got, obviously if any quarterback has time, they're going to be accurate. But he's a guy too that, he's very accurate at the second level. And that's what you want when you want to move the chains. I think depending on the system that he gets in, he's going to be another guy that sits. He's not going to start his first year. He's not going to be a guy that you're going to go in and he's going to turn the franchise around right away. But like I said, this draft is like when I was going through the quarterbacks, I was like, holy shit, this is like
you got two Ohio State losers in your top 5. That's how bad the draft is.
Rejects. Ohio State rejects. And then 6 through 10, I didn't take notes on 6 through 10, but 6, Riley Leonard, Notre Dame. Very high IQ guy.
He's a good college quarterback. He will not ever do anything if he even makes a fucking roster.
He's got a
in the
death
NFL.
wish.
He could be a career backup.
Lunch pail guy.
He could
Real
also-
hard, real hard
They
worker.
could convert him to a tight end
Smart kid.
Potentially.
or
Potentially.
a wide receiver.
You want
the guy's
to
pretty
convert
fast.
him. You want to convert him to tight end because you woke up one day and wanted Riley Leonard in the NFL, and you thought he could stomp on somebody's dreams with that. You prick. You
No.
can't give me those. Can't give me those kind
Like,
of
the conversation around Lamar Jackson when he came out of college, he's going in the draft, and they're like, "Oh, he's got to switch positions." That was stupid. Riley Leonard should definitely switch positions. He is not an
Who's
NFL
the
player.
Washington? Logan Thomas, wasn't he a quarterback in college? And then
Yeah.
he became
Yeah,
a tight end?
Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a long list of guys who played quarterback in college and ended up playing a different position in the NFL. I think Riley Leonard could be a decent player, and not like a superstar or anything, but I don't think he has any future as a quarterback.
A lot of grit.
That's right.
A lot
Like I
of
said,
grit,
I can see him as a
lunch pail
career backup. 7, I have Will Howard from Ohio State.
guy. Loser.
He's a
I
very
think he
similar
sucks too.
quarterback to
I
Riley
think he
Leonard.
sucks. Yeah.
Well,
I think
all the rest of them, you're gonna say they suck because I thought they sucked too. But Will Howard's very similar to Riley Leonard. Just kind of, high
Lost.
IQ.
Lost to Davis.
You know who Will Howard reminds me of?
Um,
Kevin Hogan. Remember him from Stanford? The only reason
Yeah.
he sticks out to me, he played in the NFL also a little bit. He went to the same high school Caleb Williams went to, same high school I went to. That's why I paid attention to him. But he reminds me a lot of him as a college player. Reminded me of him, and I think he's gonna have the same type of.
I mean, obviously, Ohio State quarterbacks don't pan out in the NFL, but they're also a hard eval because when you look at the receivers and running backs around them, you're like, holy shit, I could go out there and probably throw for 3,000 yards with fucking Jeremiah Smith and all them cats, and then Travion Henderson, I mean,
you just look at what they do in big games, and when they come up flat in big games, they're not worth it.
No.
Really what it boils down to.
My number 8, Jalen Milroe. He's an athlete, but
Tim Tebow.
Yeah, I mean, essentially Tim Tebow. I mean, he's an athlete. He can move outside the pocket. He's going to move the ball if you run QB powers, if you want to get him on rollouts, things like that. But he's not gonna beat you with his arm, and he's not gonna lead a comeback. He's not gonna be a consistent chain mover. So he's just a guy.
If you put him in San Francisco,
potentially
he'd be an MVP candidate in San Francisco in that kind of offense. Anywhere else is going to suck.
Jalen Milroe stinks. Another guy. I'm giving my input. I think, and I'm so glad that I already did this with a white guy because I don't want people to accuse me of racism. Jalen Milroe has no business playing quarterback in the NFL. He fucking sucks. I don't even think he could play offense in the NFL. Quite frankly, I don't think he's a good runner.
If somebody wants to edit a white hood onto Will's head while he says this, feel free.
I just said a lot of the same things about Riley Leonard, who was the quarterback for my own fucking team.
You did.
And is very white and very about as white as it gets.
He went to Duke.
I think Jalen Milroe would be a good safety, but I don't think he. I don't think he'd
be a good safety.
Well, I'm just saying if you want to give him a position in the NFL, I think he'd be a better safety than anywhere on the offense. When he runs, he reminds me of I've blocked his name out now. Our backup quarterback who handed the ball to the Bengals. Jesus Christ.
Tyler Huntley.
Tyler Huntley. He runs like Tyler Huntley to me. It's not elusive. When guys close in on him, he just runs into them. It's crazy.
That's not a crazy comp either.
Tyler Huntley threw the best deep ball on the Ravens. So per noted training camp analyst. So I don't know. I don't think
chicken farmer. Man, that guy was ahead. We got to investigate him. He was raising chickens before the eggs got expensive.
That's true. Well, actually, he got his chickens killed by foxes, and then the egg prices went up. So, was he producing most of the eggs in the world? Is this his fault? Some
yeah. So 9, I have Tyler Show from Louisville. He would honestly probably be a little higher on my list if he wasn't going to be a 25-year-old rookie. So,
Can I say something about him?
There's no time for development with him.
Stop mocking him to the Baltimore Ravens because we have Lamar Jackson. Just fucking stop.
We already have a
What's he
Louisville
getting?
quarterback
I
on
haven't
our
seen
roster,
that.
and he doesn't even play
Yeah.
quarterback.
I have seen,
But Tyler Show, he's a good thrower. He runs. He's experienced in multiple different types of offense. He's very versatile as a quarterback. He's not a guy that you can only put into a spread offense or a pro style or West Coast or whatever. Like, he's very versatile in the types of offenses that he can run. So he's an intriguing cat, but he's not gonna. I mean, like I said, he's gonna be 25 years old as a rookie, and there's no. I mean, we got Brandon Whedon all over again. I mean, I think he was 27, but there's no development time.
I mean, Jaden Daniels is 24.
Adley Rushman's like 33, and you guys suck him off all the time. So,
Then last 10th, Donovan Smith from Houston. He's a dude that kind of he's intriguing to me. I don't know. I need to watch more of him, but he's a big quarterback. He's like 6'5". He's very athletic. He can sling it. He's got a cannon for an arm. I saw a lot of comps with him with like Joe Milton. But he's just a big quarterback with a strong arm. And I mean, those guys are always fun because you can figure something out. If he's got the accuracy of the touch and he can, facilitate an offense, he's a guy that you kind of think about. Because honestly, most of the quarterbacks in this draft are like 6'1", 6'2". So like you get a guy that's like 6'5", and he's an athlete like, Smith is. I mean, he's an intriguing cat that somebody might pull in the 6th round, 5th round and say, hey, I'm going to put a flyer on this guy and see what he can do, especially after, what Joe Milton did last year and all the steam that he got. And, they're talking about him as a potential trade candidate for people with Drake May, his success. So, I mean, I don't know. Something about Donovan Smith.
I
want
wanted
to watch
Joe
more
Milton,
of him,
by the way. I wanted to draft him as a backup, and we would have a trade chip now.
all right. Joe Milton was the most, just watching him practice and throw the ball, fucking jaw dropping, and then you put him on a field and he'd suck ass. Except
whatever, dude.
Yeah.
All I know, he's getting buzzed now. Last year, I think if you watched him play in college, like again, you like you said, like you saw some crazy upside to him. So I just thought as a backup,
he throws a 90-yard football. Like that's fucking insane.
As a backup, I didn't see any downside to it. We didn't. I don't know. Did a backup even fucking play this year?
Yeah, Johnson played a couple quarters.
How many passes could he have possibly thrown this year?
10 if that.
I'm gonna say I think he handed the ball off almost every rep he had.
But Joe Milton might be better than Drake May, so I don't know. QB controversy.
Right? Yeah, I agree.
You are on crack.
I don't know, man. Drake May is just not it. That guy.
Josh Johnson had 3 pass attempts this year, and guess what? He had 3 pass attempts. He had the exact same completion percentage as Lamar Jackson, who had 474 pass attempts.
Consistency.
Yep.
Patriots were smart. They would trade Drake May now while his value is still somewhat high. But another topic for another day. Maybe that's
no. The next season you're going to be like, Grant, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
Grant,
the Patriots are one of the reasons I think that the report card thing is stupid. Their head coach got an A and he got fired.
Grant,
we both know this. Drew will never tell you that I'm sorry, I'm wrong to you.
100%.
You had 2 years.
Yeah, he did one
Sauce
time.
Gardner. But did he?
I did one time. It was not about Ahmad Gardner.
No.
If you watch Drake May, he does 2 or 3 things a game that you're like, oh wow, this kid could be really good, and then he just fucking does nothing for the rest of the game. I mean, he is a highlight reel quarterback. He is made for TikTok or fucking Twitter videos. He is not.
He was throwing to Hunter Henry and Kayshon Boutte last year.
Lamar Jackson won a fucking MVP throwing to Willie Snead and a bunch of other fucking losers. So that's a terrible.
Drake May is not Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's the best player in football. So you can't sit here and you're comparing apples to oranges.
Drake May's not good.
I never said he was.
No, you said he was good.
You said no. Drew just did an amazing little trick on you.
He did a
And you said
full-on
you go,
sleight of hand right there.
Lamar Jackson is the best player in football, and then Drew goes, Drake May's not. And then when you started talking, he said Drake May's not, and he added another word at the end as if like you were agreeing with the second statement. What did you say after the second time?
Drake May's not good.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's a little bit different. Drake May's not the best player in football versus Drake May's not good, but it sounded like Grant was co-signing your statement.
They're kind of synonyms. Just saying.
You're either the best or you're the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no in between.
You're not first, you're last.
If you ain't first, you're last, baby.
I'm all hyped up on Mountain Dew.
Shake and bake.
So to run back through 1 Cam Ward, 2 Jackson Dart,
So
3
am I.
Ford, 4 Shedeur Sanders, 5 Quinn Ewers, 6 Riley, 7 Will Howard, 8 Jalen Milroe, 9 Tyler Shaw, and 10 Donovan Smith are the BDSM quarterback rankings for the 2025 draft.
Sponsored by O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, we're running.
The BDSM 32 will come out later on, closer to the draft.
I forgot we did that. We tagged O.J. Simpson. He died.
I actually was talking to somebody about that the other day, and I went and pulled the graphic, and it's fucking so funny.
Some of my finest work in Microsoft Paint was that graphic.
Oh, I didn't pull that one. No, I pulled the other one.
I don't remember the other one.
Oh my god, this is random though. I just opened up X and AB might have had one of the tweets of the year already.
It's some nerdy ass white kid that runs his account, ruins it for me.
I don't know, but he quote tweeted something about FS1 sidelining Joy Taylor for the last 3 episodes of whatever her show is, and he said load management.
That's great.
Oh. Yeah, that story kind of went away.
It did.
Because she was fucking that executive. He's trying to put that under wraps.
Yeah, I mean, what I never understood with her is that she's like terrible on air. So it was like blatantly obvious that she had to be fucking somebody there. I thought.
So is Molly. Her and Molly might be the 2 worst on air.
I know this is going to come off as like sexist and whatever, but like when you put specific women with specific guys, it just doesn't fucking work. Like you need a Mina Kimes type who's like actually knows what she's talking about to work with NFL players. You know what I mean? Like you can't have Joy Taylor just be a fucking airhead and expect a good show. It doesn't fucking work. What, like Katie Nolan keeps getting jobs in sports. She's fucking horrific on air. She doesn't know jack shit. Mina Kimes like actually takes time and watches football. And so it's like, oh wow, somebody who actually like fucking dedicates time to their craft, puts out a good product instead of like worrying about what executive's dick you're gonna suck to get on air. So that would be my word of advice: is if you want to be on fucking television, maybe know what the fuck you're talking about.
Drew, this is the graphic. This is the graphic.
I'm waiting.
Are you seeing it?
No.
No, he can't, I don't think he
Hold
can see
on.
it.
Here, we're gonna do it like that.
Oh, that's disappointing. Well, there you go.
Hold on.
No, well,
Hold on.
you're.
Yeah, I got it. Hold on.
Hold on.
That.
There it is.
Still not seeing
Excellent.
I'm still not seeing anything.
Grant, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck is Drew looking at?
My
For
fucking
real.
phone screen.
Damn, iPhone technological problems. That's disappointing.
All right, so Will, just remember this is 11:24 when we have this conversation. I'll send you the screenshot afterwards of what my screen looks like at 11:24.
What about this?
I think if you click share screen, I should be able to see it.
He did.
Everyone sees it.
Yes.
Right now, it's literally the only thing on the screen.
It's literally not on the screen for me.
Man, this is gonna be a tough look for you when we clip this and send it to the chat.
Yeah, I feel like you're making it up. I feel like I'm being trolled here. You guys have some.
Just like Raul.
The only thing people can see is what we're talking about, and you're just like, no, I can't see it, man.
Yep.
This is how we're veering so far off.
Yeah, I honestly, there's nothing on my screen. I feel like I'm being, bamboozled here. That there's some fucking conspiracy going on. Probably Jake orchestrated it. Seems like his work.
Shit, I wish. I wish that was the case. This was not.
Probably Jake's Android caused this entire thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Jake's Android's working just fine. It's the iPhone trying to figure out how to turn off live pictures.
I don't understand how you
My
and
other
Jake
phone.
are both on phones, and he can hold on. Wait a minute, is Jake not on a phone today?
No, Jake's on the phone today. This is my work phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jake's on a
Fucking
phone.
iPhone.
He could see the picture, but you couldn't see the picture. I don't know.
I don't.
Are you on that app?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. Jake's probably
Could
on
be.
the browser.
Yep, that's exactly right.
The browser works
That's
a lot
what it is.
better.
Or the picture just doesn't exist, and you guys are all fucking with me. That's what I'm gonna go with. But,
All right. Well,
Jake, I think it's
Seems-
time for you.
Seems to be about that time. Well then, y'all. That's gonna do it for this week's installment. At least I'm here to do the outro. We will be back to discuss this, that, and the other, and dive more into Grant's BDSM lists. But meanwhile, it's time for me to die.
See ya.